I would like to welcome you to this webinar about how to engage doctors through medical associations and through medical meetings. I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner. I leverage my experience as a practicing surgeon, clinical faculty at the University of Washington School of Medicine, and serial entrepreneur to help financial advisors accelerate their growth by acquiring more doctor clients. Well, if you've been in this market at all, you might have questions about acquiring doctor clients like, how do I get past the gatekeeper? Or how do I get my message in front of more doctors? Or how do I inspire doctors to meet with me? Or how do I inspire doctors to take action? If you've wondered about any of those things, you are in the right place. These series of webinars really are about how to acquire doctor clients without wasting your time or your money or your effort, even if you've had disappointing results in the past. And today, I'm going to talk about what might be, in my opinion, the best marketing investment that you can make, which is to build relationships with medical associations so that you have a chance to network there and build relationships to doctors. All right, well, let's first ask this basic question. What do you absolutely need in order to acquire doctor clients? It's basically two things. First, you need a way of engaging doctors in conversation. And as you know, doctors behave like tropical fish. They tend to swim together and move together under the direction of a leader. And they do that for the same reason tropical fish do. It offers a protection against predators. And doctors are very worried about the possibility that you're not one of them, that you might be a predator. So in general, doctors tend to be busy and distracted and distrusting of strangers. So it's actually quite difficult to get a doctor to engage in a conversation with you. I mean, even if a doctor agrees to set up a meeting with you, somebody could come into the ER and they could be drawn away. So this is very difficult. The second big challenge is the challenge of rapidly building trust. And I will tell you that the rate at which your practice grows is the rate at which you build trust. The easy and the fast way to help you accomplish both things is to let a physician help you and open the red velvet rope. If a physician has introduced you, that confers this credibility halo to you. Your end game is to become the go-to guy or the go-to gal among targeted groups of doctors. The single best way to do that is with expert positioning. So I have a series of webinars about how to establish yourself as an expert by writing books, by delivering talks, by creating and distributing videos. And I will leave a link to help you get to those series otherwise. But we're going to bring that idea about your expert positioning, and we're going to bring that to the main challenge today, which is how you leverage medical associations. Now, I will just tell you that if doctors behave like tropical fish, medical associations are your ideal fishing holes. This is where like-minded doctors gather to solve their problems and share resources. A lot of the problems that doctors currently have, you can help. Even things like burnout, even things like dissatisfaction and wanting to move up retirement, even things like how to launch side gigs or to run a more profitable practice. You have the skills and experience and knowledge to help them get there. So if you can actually go to a place where doctors are already gathering either physically at meetings or intellectually, by opening the newsletters from the association or reading the emails, you have a great high leverage way of reaching doctors. Now, when my son was a toddler, he had this love affair with trucks. And the honest to God truth is that if we saw a construction truck parked on the side of the road, I would let him climb on them. Well, one day we came across this huge construction site, and my toddler son pointed his chubby little finger in the direction of the dirt piles, and he said, touch trucks. I knew what he wanted. He wanted to go crawl on that equipment. And I said, sweetie, that would be really great. But look, there's a fence all around the construction site. And you see that sign on the locked gate? It says, do not enter. And he thought for a toddler moment and he said, take down signs. Well, I think you can see the appeal of getting inside of these medical associations. It's sort of like my son going in and playing on the trucks. The problem is that there is a gate and locks around it. If it's tough to get past the gatekeeper to get one-on-one with doctors, magnify that by 10. And this is the challenge to get into medical associations. But really what I'd like to help you do today is give you some concrete ideas so that you can take down those do not enter signs and enter that medical association turf and be able to play there. Okay, so if this is so tough, why might you be interested in investing in getting in front of medical associations? Well, medical associations have unique properties. First of all, they have big lists. One of the questions that I get again and again from advisors is, how do I get my hand on a hold of a list? And what I'm here to tell you is that the thing that you want to do is you want to build your own lists. So medical associations already have lists. What if you could do exactly what one of my clients did, build a relationship with an association and let them deliver a digital copy of your book to their entire list. So you're not doing the mailing, the medical association is doing the mailing. Well, maybe you send out a version of your book with just the first chapter with a statement like, if you like this, there's more. Go here and sign up to get a copy of the complete book. That way, the medical association has put you in front of their whole list and given you an opportunity to capture the name and the email address of those doctors who are going to be responsive to your message. So you have the possibility of taking their list and making your list. You want control over your list. The reason that lists are so important is that you might need to deliver value to doctors, 7 to 10 times, sometimes years, before they actually step up and ask you, how can you help me? So one of the keys to success is having this ongoing stream of value and having your own list so that you can do outbound marketing. Next, doctors actually belong to associations. Most doctors belong to about 3 to 5 associations. So if you find what associations your doctors belong to, then you can identify those right fishing holes. Now, I will tell you that in general, the specialty associations have much better membership than other associations like your local or regional, like the State Medical Society or your local county society. The AMA used to be an association to which all physicians belonged. Their membership has dropped precipitously. Only, I think, about 30% of physicians belong to the AMA these days. And the reason is that the AMA doesn't really have the reputation of representing the best interests of individual physicians. On the other hand, the specialty associations really do. So you can find out from your doctors, to what associations do they belong? Where are sort of the happening places? Next, doctors participate. They actually go to meetings regularly. There are, local meetings, like I belong to the Seattle Surgical Society meeting, and that was the go-to meeting. That's where the major business of Seattle surgeons was conducted. So they had monthly meetings and they also had larger annual meetings. So there's local organizations. And if you looked at their website, and I'll show it to you in a little bit, you'd look at it and you'd say, what? That's the go-to place? So you need a little inside intelligence to find out where they are. There are state meetings. So I belong to the state chapter of the American College of Surgeons. There was a big annual event that's usually held in the summer, always at a resort kind of environment. This doubled as a family vacation. So let's say that you love golf, and one of the things that you love to do is golfing with doctors. Well, participation in this annual meeting is ideal prospecting for you. And then third, there are large national meetings. And these meetings can attract tens of thousands of doctors. Like literally, there's a dentist meeting in New York that attracts 60,000 people. You might ask, well, gee, that's so huge. Why might I be interested in a national meeting? If I can prospect right here in Chicago, why would I want to go to San Diego? And the answer is that if you're trying to reach doctors in Chicago and you've got a meeting set up and somebody comes into the ER, or if you've got a seminar and a doctor has signed up, but then on that day has to go into the ER, they're not going to be there. They're going to be no-shows. However, if they're in San Diego at a national meeting, they've already signed out their practice. They are specifically there to learn. And if you are there, maybe instead of having a dinner seminar, you have a breakfast seminar that begins before the formal meeting begins. That is a spectacular way of taking what's already working for you and turbocharging it. Now, you probably don't want to invite everyone to this breakfast event, but if you've already got your own list, you can say, hey, are you going to be at the national meeting in San Diego? If you're there, I want to invite you to this special educational event about how to make sure that you are putting less money in the pocket of Uncle Sam and more money in your own. Okay, next, doctors open emails from associations. So I just told you that I work with a client who is actually able to get the association to send out his book. Well, if you sent out your book to a list that maybe you purchased from this association, doctors wouldn't know you. It would probably just go into the spam filter. But because it came from the association, it's going to be treated in a completely different way. And last, doctors trust associations. Not necessarily the AMA. They trust that the associations have their best interest at heart, or they would not belong. So what do associations want? Associations want more members and more revenue. They do that by collecting dues. They know that doctors have lots of choices about associations, and they know that in order to meet their goals, they must deliver value to their members. And so this becomes a cycle that feeds upon itself. They want to deliver value so that doctors trust them and continue coming back. So they've got some insider intelligence. They've launched campaigns that do work and do not work. They know what their doctor members really want to know about. So they can help you getting what you want, which is getting in front of more doctors, by sharing with you what they already know. And then you can see if you can collaborate, and you can help get what you want by helping them get what they want. So when you're associated with a medical association, you enjoy this halo of credibility. It's kind of like, having a good housekeeping seal of approval on your website, because if you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm doing this in association with the Seattle Surgical Society or the Washington State chapter of the American College of Physicians, doctors are going to look at you in a different way. You've now sort of got the insider handshake. Now you've been proven not to be a predator. You've been proven to be one of us. And that makes it even easier and faster for you to become the recognized go-to guy or go-to gal. Now, let me say, most people do not know how to do this. I mean, this is sort of a dream for them. And I think that the reason that finally inspired me to give this webinar, and I'm giving it for the first time, is that I have a client who just got paid to be on the platform and speak at a regional meeting. And I saw the process that led to success. So I've had some sort of big success stories with my actual advisors, and that makes me feel a little more confident that I can really deliver the basics to you. You can take what you've learned today and think about really designing your own campaign to do this. And if you feel like you'd like to dive deeper, because we only have about 60 minutes together today, there will be other resources that I'm offering to sort of elite advisors who really want to take the fast track and get the kind of spectacular results that I've had the great privilege to help advisors achieve. Okay, so let me set the vision for you. I mentioned that I'm a member of the Seattle Surgical Society. They have monthly meetings, and every meeting is the same format. There's a social hour, a scientific talk where we talk about, what's new in surgery. Then there's a dinner, and it's kind of funny because the buffet is exactly the same every time, and it's been so for years. And then there's an after dinner speaker, and this is always somebody non-medical. So for example, here is a talk, the scientific talk was an update on transplant surgery, and then the after dinner speaker was something on banking and finance. So just to show you that they really are interested in finance kinds of issues. It turns out that most of the business of Seattle surgeons gets conducted from 5:30 to 6:15 at that social hour. So I actually spoke with somebody who signed an employment contract on a cocktail napkin during this social hour. I remember one time I went to the meeting and there was a big construction site right next door. And I was looking through the little peephole to look at the construction, and one of my buddies came up from behind me. Hey, Vicki, I haven't seen you in a while. What are you up to these days? And I told him. He said, wow, that's really exciting. Let me introduce you to these three people. So we went in, and sure enough, during that social hour, he, in fact, went to the time and effort to make sure he gave those three introductions. Now, why is this? It's because physicians want to help other physicians. Remember, I didn't ask him, hey, do you know anybody who could help me do this? I didn't say a word. He's the one who made the offer. And by the way, we're not even that close. Doctors can bring guests to these meetings. What if you helped an unhappy doctor there with a retirement plan that helped them move up retirement by 5 to 10 years? You transformed this doctor's life. Suddenly there was joy and hope again. You could say to this doctor, there are other doctors who are exactly where you were when we met. Wouldn't it be great if we could help more of those doctors? By the way, I see that you're a member of the Seattle Surgical Society. Might you be open to bringing me as a guest? They might even think to make that introduction themselves, but if they don't, then you might be able to offer. You could say, I looked on the website, there's a $50 fee to bring a guest, which I would be more than happy to bring. And if you've really delighted that doctor, what's the doctor going to say? Absolutely. I would love to tell my story. And if that doctor brought you, what do you think that doctor would do? He would grab a colleague by the elbow and say, come here, you have got to meet Beth. She completely turned things around and you need to talk to her. So this could be a way of not just getting in front of others, but getting a doctor to basically say, this person has value. You need to speak with this person. I mean, that's the kind of thing you dream about, right? Okay, so great opportunity. Like, how do you get there? How do you become a member? How can you become a vendor? How can you deliver this after dinner talk? And if you go to the Seattle Surgical Society and inquire about the membership criteria, it says membership shall be by invitation only. In other words, you can't crack this gate open. You can't pound your way in. You have to be invited in. And what this means is you need to think strategically about how that door gets opened for you. And the answer is the best way to get in is to build a relationship with somebody who's already in there. So if you've got an existing going venture and you have, lots of doctor clients and you really want to leverage associations, the very first thing that you want to do is talk with your doctors and say, to what medical associations do you belong? Are you active there? What kind of value do you get? You need a physician to open the red velvet rope for you. This is really the key to success. So you've already got relationship with your existing doctor clients. You might have doctor prospects. You might have, fellow parents on your kid's soccer team or somebody who belongs to your church or synagogue. And you don't have to, solicit them as prospects. What you can say is, hey, I know that you're an OB/GYN. What you might not know about me is I'm really committed to helping OB/GYNs take control of their financial destiny. Now, I'm not trying to pitch you or get you as a client, but I'm just curious. Like, do you belong to medical associations? And do you like it? Do they deliver real value? And maybe you want to set aside to go out to lunch and find out what is important to this physician. What kinds of problems do they have? What keeps them up at night? So in other words, you conduct an informational interview. And that's part of the strategic framework for relationship building that and I'll talk about that a little later. I'll talk about this framework. But even if this person doesn't become a client, just think of the value of, this doctor telling you, I just happen to know the executive director really well. Would you like an introduction? Bam! That is the thing that takes down the do not enter signs. Even if you got permission to reach out to, let's say, the executive director to the association, and you asked, would it be okay if I mentioned your name? And so in the subject line of an email, or as you're speaking with the executive director's gatekeeper, you can say something like, Dr. Wilson recommended that I give Mr. So-and-so a call. Because, okay, now you're not a complete stranger. You're not an outsider. You're sort of one of them. So it's kind of like climbing a mountain, a rock, and you're looking for these little toe holes. You're looking for anything that's going to help you get in. You work hard to build relationships. And I will just say that networking in medical association is leverage strategic relationship building. So if you are at a place where there's tens or hundreds or sometimes even thousands of doctors who are there to learn, it's kind of like going fishing in a barrel, right? They're right there. And if you have the right bait, you have the right tackle, you are going to get breakthrough results. Okay, so why is networking in medical associations sort of leveraged networking? Well, first, you can connect with many. So if you build a relationship with an individual prospect, then you're investing your time and resources building a relationship with one person. Let's say you decide to invest in a relationship with a power partner, somebody who has a list of doctors, maybe somebody who does outsourced medical billing. And by the way, that's a great strategic power partner because they can tell you who their best doctors are. They're in the business of putting more money into doctors' pockets, and you are in the business of also doing that by maybe harvesting tax savings and making that money grow. Okay, so if you built a relationship with an outsourced medical biller, maybe you'd get in front of 100 doctors. Okay, if you build one relationship with the right person in the medical association, you have access to thousands of doctors. This is just smart relationship building. Next, you leverage your time because the same investment in building a single relationship goes much further than the time that you would have to invest getting to know 10 or 100 doctors. Third, your goal is to become the go-to guy or gal within targeted groups of doctors. So think about all of these associations essentially as schools of fish. You are really going to grow when doctors pass around your name, and they will do that. So recently I had a call from one of my financial advisor clients, and he said to me, look, we had talked about doing this dinner thing. Listen, I got to step back from this because I have more doctor clients than I can deal with. He had achieved what I call escape velocity. So without outgoing marketing efforts, doctors were just naturally passing his name along. So he had the problem of how to scale. Good problem to have, right? He's achieved escape velocity. So when you network within these people who are already going to network and pass your name around, it helps you achieve this, what I call escape velocity, more quickly. And next, you can turbocharge any campaign. So whether you're doing expert positioning by distributing your book, you can get the association to help you put it in the hands of a lot of people. If you're creating articles or videos, you could potentially use your medical association to get your content in the hands of lots of people. If you've got a talk that you deliver, you can work on getting on a bigger platform, either at a local or state or regional or even national meeting, and have access to many more people. When you take what you're already doing and doing it successfully and do it within this halo of the medical association, things are going to move more quickly for you. You accelerate the rate at which you build trust, you reach more people. Okay, so you can use medical associations to publish your articles, to share your videos, to distribute your content, to deliver presentations. And if you're at, let's say, a national meeting, you decide to be a vendor at a national meeting, well, everyone else in the exhibition hall is potentially a power partner, right? They all have lists of doctors. They're all there because they want to acquire more doctor clients. So when the doctors are in the scientific section, you can go around and meet vendors and then be creative about how you could potentially partner. Let's say, for example, that you meet a vendor who sells a piece of medical equipment, and it's a high ticket item, and maybe one of the barriers is how to pay for it, how doctors can find more money to make this purchase. So you both win. Let me just say that all of the medical associations are going to offer you an opportunity to place ads. So there's a difference between an advertising message and a marketing message. An advertising message says, let's talk about me. A marketing message says, let's talk about you. And ideally, every encounter that you have with the doctor, no matter how it takes place, you improve the doctor's condition in a specific way. So you can use all of these opportunities for marketing messages to deliver your value, your content, and get it in front of lots of eyeballs. The medical association, as I mentioned to you, wants to generate more revenue, right? So they're always going to give you the opportunity to pay them money to put in an advertising message. I'm here to tell you that you're going to get much better results by offering a marketing message than by offering an advertising message. And the reason is simple. Doctors want to work with experts. When you have an article in their publication with a great byline and a great call to action in the byline, doctors are going to see you as an expert. When you have an ad in their publication, they're going to see you as a vendor. So you don't really get to take advantage of that expert status. If you say, but wait a minute, like I don't have content, it's easier for me to distribute an ad. What I'm here to tell you is you might want to rethink it because you've got plenty of value to deliver. You can definitely package your value, package your pearls of wisdom in a way that gets through compliance so you can distribute it through medical associations. Or you can partner with somebody and sort of co-brand their content. I mean, I've got this whole Thriving Doctors brand. I'm like a little content machine, and I let advisors sort of share my content, whether it's a webinar or whether it's an article. You can even put your names on my books that doctors have been proven to be interested in. So that's not a good excuse. And I just really want to drive this home by saying, let's say that you were invited over to a friend's house for a dinner party. You would pick up a little hostess gift on the way over. And the hostess gift would be something that the hostess would like, a bottle of wine, candy, flowers, whatever. You wouldn't give them, your vacation photos. Well, your vacation photos are meaningful to you. They don't really mean a whole lot to other people, unless, of course, you're an Annie Leibovitz. But advertising is sort of like bringing those vacation photos. You can do much, much better. It's cheaper, and you're going to get better results. What are some of the challenges that financial advisors face when they try to get into medical associations? Well, some just don't know where to get started. Like, literally, what do I do? There are all these opportunities here. What do I do first? And it sort of gets overwhelming, and they just stop. Another problem is that you can't really find the right associations. Like, you do a Google search, how do you figure out, which is the right association and which is the wrong association? Maybe you've tried to build relationships with associations, maybe you've even had a contact or two, but it just didn't go anywhere. You just couldn't get that platform open to you so that you have access to the members. Or maybe you did get access to the members. Maybe you were at a meeting as a vendor, but you never got a single client from it. Well, if you face any of these, you're in the right place here. You're in the right place if you see the potential of the associations, but you haven't gotten the results you want, if you're not sure of where you begin, if you've made investments that didn't pay off, or maybe you've even flopped before. Maybe you feel like you've burned bridges. So what I'd like to share with you is this framework for strategic relationship building that leads to client acquisition. So this is the framework that I've developed and deliver through my Cracking the Physician Code course. This is something that's proven. It's something that works. And so how can you take this framework and apply it in medical associations? You do best when you get into the sweet spot. What is the success triad? Okay, number one is expert positioning. Doctors do not want to work with vendors. They want to work with experts. Let's say that, God forbid, you or a loved one had a terrible medical problem that was kind of rare. My guess is that you would do a search. You would find the very best person for that medical condition and maybe get on a plane to go and see that doctor. Why? It's because experts get better results. Doctors want to work with financial services professionals who are experts. They want to work with peers. And so if you invest in expert positioning, you're much more attractive in the eyes of doctors. Again, I will give you links for the other webinars about expert positioning through various campaigns. Next, you want to create digital sales funnels. You already know that your book of business has value. What you might not know is that your list of doctors also has value. It has a lot of value. So if you do not already, I strongly encourage you to find a way to electronically capture doctors' names and get permission to deliver value on a regular basis. Now, this does not mean that you're stalking doctors, that you're sending out 4 emails to set up an appointment. What this means is that you are graciously delivering ongoing value, and then at the bottom of the communication, there is a, would you like to talk about your own situation? Click here to schedule an appointment. So you always, always, always want to be thinking about ways of building your list. Let's say that you get the opportunity to speak at a medical association. What you want to do is, in the context of the talk, give doctors reasons right there and then to take out their smartphones and go to some kind of landing page, which is a one-page website where somebody exchanges their email for a yummy treat, sort of an ethical bribe. Doctors, if you would like to get your complimentary copy of The Myth of the Rich Doctor, get out your smartphones right now. I'll hang on a second and go to www.blah, blah, 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 and sign up right now to get it. So, that is one of your main objectives anytime you get in front of doctors. Okay, the third element in the success triad is this physician evangelism. Getting a doctor to open up the red velvet curtain, because you know how hard it is to get in front of doctors. I hope that you have experienced the magic of letting a doctor open up the red velvet rope for you, and there are strategic ways that you can do this more often. All right, I'm also happy to give you access to the 10 laws of physician engagement that sort of describe the culture of medicine and to tell you what you can do to really make these things grow. So the overview of the framework for strategic relationship building is: first, focus. Don't try to be all things to all doctors. Next, gather intelligence so that you're seeing the world through the eyes of your doctor. You have what doctors need. Usually that's not going to inspire doctors to take action. You need to give them what they want. Third, you need to figure out how to begin a conversation. Next, you need to help others get what they want. And then you need to build a series of encounters in a sales funnel to help you get what you want, knowing that if you've just been introduced to a doctor because they read your article, it's going to take a couple of touch points for them to build relationship. Okay, so let's take this framework and see how it applies to associations. So first is find your focus. You don't want to be all things to all doctors. You want to focus on a specific group of doctors who have a similar source of pain, who share resources, and who can actually be in a position to talk about you. Physicians naturally gather on the basis of certain features. And in general, especially if you're just getting started in the medical market, If you decide, okay, I want to work with this group of doctors, and you can find a medical association, generally you're on the right path. If you cannot find an association, you might want to rethink it because it's going to be harder for you. Okay, so physicians naturally congregate on the basis of medical specialties. So that's the easiest focus to belong. So, maybe you want to work with cardiothoracic surgeons or urologists or pathologists. They belong to associations and offer multiple associations. So as a surgeon, I told you I belong to the Seattle Surgical Society. I belong to the state chapter of the American College of Surgeons. I belong to the national organization of the American College of Surgeons. I also belonged to the American Medical Women's Association and the Association of Women Surgeons. So even if you got a medical specialty, there could be some subspecialists. And if you want to become the go-to guy or gal, normally what you want to do is find a group of about 150. That's sort of the ideal size. So let's say, for example, that you're African American and you see that there's an association of African American cardiologists. That might be absolutely perfect for you. If you find the medical association, next what you want to do is do your homework. You want to take a look at the association, find out what they're about, and figure out how you can plug into them. So if you've ever gone to Europe, you know that Europe is wired differently. You can plug into the electrical supply, but you need an adapter. A mistake I see a lot of advisors make is they want their association to plug into them. And that usually is the main reason that people make no progress. Instead, what you want to do is take your adapter and figure out how you plug into them. So don't try to sell them about the idea of a seminar on retirement planning because it will not work, I promise you. But if you go and see that the mission or vision of the association is to help doctors enjoy the personal, professional, and financial goals that attracted them to a career in medicine, and you can show them how you can help them achieve that mission, you're much more likely to be heard, and you're much more likely to actually get onto their platform. Now, different associations have different yummy things on it. So what do you want to look at when you go there? Well, we talked about the vision and the mission. You also want to see what kinds of offerings that they have. You want to take a look at their annual meeting. Maybe you want to go to the last year's annual meeting and see what kinds of things were on the agenda and on the topic. Some associations are really purely scientific. And those are not good associations for you to invest in because you're never going to be able to sell them on your value. But if you go to a meeting agenda and you see that there's practice building ideas, there's ideas about how to launch side gigs, now you've got a place that you can really harness. Let's say you wanted to deliver a webinar for doctors. Does the association deliver webinars? Are all of the presenters physicians? Well, if they're not, maybe you have a shot of delivering a webinar. But if there are just physicians who are presenting, what that means is you want to partner with a physician so that you fit in. Now, some associations will really help you dig down and target. So the American Academy of Ophthalmology is really a great example. So this is a huge organization. But there are also subgroups. There's senior ophthalmologists. This has a quarterly newsletter. So let's say that you wanted to work with doctors in late stages of their career. Maybe you offer a newsletter article about legacy planning or how to make your philanthropy go further. You want to read the newsletter and figure out what kinds of articles they're publishing. Then you pitch an article to do that. But the point is that if there's this subgroup, that means that there's a list there. So if you build the relationship the right way, you can get in front of that list. There's also a young ophthalmologist. So if you want to target an early career, there you go. Not all associations are going to be that helpful, but you really want to gather intelligence. Okay, so that's one way of focusing, but that's just one way. There are all sorts of other associations. There are associations that target by gender or skin color. And the reason that I'm mentioning this to you is that there is an income disparity among physicians who are not basically white male physicians. And this is well laid out in this article from the British Medical Journal about differences in incomes of US physicians on the basis of gender and race. And maybe you feel strongly that you want to reach out to those people and offer income leveling. Well, there are ways that you can reach out. There's the National Medical Association. There are associations of women physicians. Maybe you're a very religious person, or maybe you have strong ties to the country that your ancestors came from. Well, there are medical associations that target doctors of a certain religion. Here's the Islamic Medical Association, the Catholic Medical Association, the Jewish Medical Association. So if religion means a lot to you, chances are pretty good that you can find your association of physicians or dentists. And by the way, if there is a group, maybe one thing that you do is show how philanthropic giving can go further by strategies that you might have that also support wealth building. Here is an association of physicians of Pakistani descent, Native Americans, foreign medical graduates. And by the way, this makes a great prospecting group. So we're facing a physician shortage. About 40% of practicing physicians today are age 50 or older. Their big question is, how do I get out? How do I move up? Retirement, I am done. Not as many people are getting attracted to medical schools. So we've got this physician shortage. How is it being met? Well, it's by turning to the paraprofessionals, the physician's assistants, the nurse practitioner, and it's by recruiting other doctors who've been trained outside of the US and come and get credentialed in the US and practice medicine here. So there's power partners that can help you get in touch with these people. Generally, these people have no debt. They're great clients for you. And especially if your family has come from a different country, you have something to share with them. Sometimes you can find some quirky thing, which is the basis upon which doctors gather. Like, I know this seems silly, but there's a whole bunch of doctors who knit. If you know a doctor who's knit, maybe there's not a formal association, but maybe there's a network of knitting doctors. That's step one in the strategic framework, focus. Next is number 2, do your homework. So read the mission statement and vision. You know that our brains are wired with these cells called mirror neurons. And so really, the statement, I like you, means I'm like you. I see part of myself reflected in you. So if you go and read the mission statement, jot down the words that are sort of buzzwords on the website. And when you meet with the medical association, actually say those words. Hey, Mr. Executive Director, we share a mission. We are both here to help doctors thrive. I'm wondering, would you be open to a brief meeting so you can help me get a deeper understanding of what it is that your members really want? So when you use their language, when you feed back their vision, you trigger these mirror neurons and you become more trustworthy in their eyes. You might ask, is this hokey? Are they going to see this as some kind of ploy? And the interesting thing is, no, they do not. Third, you want to find a way to be introduced, ideally by a doctor. If you've got existing doctor clients, start there. Ask them, do you belong to medical associations, and get an introduction through them. The next thing that you can do is take a look at the member list and see if you see any familiar names. Maybe it's a doctor that you know socially, and then reach out socially. Again, do not pitch them. What you want to do here is have the opportunity for them to open the red velvet rope for you. A third way of doing this is partnering with another physician or another expert who's already been in the association. So let's say, for example, that there's been a lawyer who's spoken in the organization about how to minimize your risk for lawsuits. Maybe you want to partner with that lawyer, or at least get permission to use the lawyer's name, and then you can contact and say, hey, so-and-so recommended that I give you a call. I understand that the webinar about how to decrease your risk for lawsuits was well received. He suggested that I reach out to you and talk about taking the next step. How do you protect your house and your assets that you've worked so hard to build in the event of a catastrophic lawsuit? So you're adding links in the chain of trust. Some of my financial advisor clients will partner with me so that essentially when they contact the medical association director, they say something like, hi, I work with Dr. Vicki Rackner. She's been around the country speaking about doctors and their relationship with money. We wanted to just call and see if you might be interested in exploring a talk like that. So now you're not pitching yourself, right? You're using my name and my reputation to open doors. And that's actually been very, very effective. And I've got actual webinars that I do deliver. Now that you found the person to introduce you, you want to reach out to that right person. And it could be a physician member you know. But the two go-to people, if you don't have existing relationships, are first of all the executive director. So if you think of a medical association as a business, this is sort of the president of the business. This is usually a non-physician whose goal is to grow the association, to grow the profitability, and to grow the members. And so again, they have unique insights. They know what inspires physicians to take action. So this is an ideal power partner. Like, even if they can't open the doors for you, they might be willing to talk with you about what some of the hot buttons are, what doctors want to talk about today. And things are changing really quickly. Like 5 years ago, no doctors wanted to think about side gigs. Now it's this huge thing. The other great person to reach out to is the past president. They no longer have leadership responsibilities, but they were just in the trenches. They know what's hot. And this is a great person to reach out to. Plus, if you reach out to somebody like them and they give you a little pearl of wisdom, you can say, wow, that's a great tip. Is it okay if I pass this tip along to my other doctor clients? They're going to say, of course. And then the next doctor prospect you get in front of you, if they ask a question, you can say, oh, it's interesting that you should just ask that, because I was just speaking with Dr. So-and-so, the past president of your association, and here's what she told me. And then you want to go in the spirit of service. Say something like, hi, we share a mission. May I schedule a call with you to explore some of your biggest challenges? Then you want to listen really carefully. You do not want to sell here. So you listen carefully, and maybe you ask a question. Hey, if you had a magic wand and could magically solve one problem for your association, what would that one problem be? Take down their exact words, because at the end of the conversation, and you don't want to outsay your welcome. If you said, could you give me 15 minutes? You want to make it 15 minutes. At minute 13, you say to them, I hear you say that if you had a magic wand, what you'd want to do is recruit more physicians in private practice because there's higher association fees for that. I've got a couple of ideas that came into mind, but may I think about that and then get back to you with some concrete ideas? And what are they going to say? They're going to say, of course. And then you say, okay, let's get out our calendars and put something on the calendar for another meeting, for a follow-up meeting. So you're going to get what you want by helping them get what they want. And you are not going to sell. You're going to say, okay, I heard you say that what you want to do is reach more physicians in private practice. What I know from my experience is that more physicians in private practice are interested in launching side gigs. How about if we have some kind of educational event that does blah? Or how about if I write an article? Or how about if I deliver a webinar? And then you connect the dots. You show how the webinar that you will deliver helps them get what they want. It might be a no-brainer for you. For example, 40% of physicians reported being burned out last year. Huge topic that all medical associations are dealing with. And maybe that is the thing that the executive director wants to do with a magic wand, help physicians get out of burnout. If that is specifically what they want, you can go back to them, maybe with the data from a Medscape study, and show them that one of the precipitating causes of burnout is not having enough money. One of the solutions is having more money. So how about a focus on what somebody who is burned out can do to turn around their finances? As you start building relationships, I want to offer you a couple of warnings. First of all, there are compliance issues that you need to deal with, so you want to make sure that they are all cleared. Second, there are some associations that generate revenue by selling financial products and services themselves, like the AMA. There are dental associations. So if you get a cold shoulder, don't take it personally. It could just be because the executive director is protecting their own turf. Or maybe the executive director has a relationship with a brother-in-law who's a financial advisor. So if you really sense that they are not receptive, just move on. The other thing that unfortunately is a reality is that, let's say an executive director actually invited a financial advisor in to deliver high value content, like that's what they were promised. And then this advisor came in with a pitch fest. They were just trying to sell stuff. Unfortunately, that ruins it for everybody because that executive director assumes responsibility when they bring a speaker in. If the speaker does a great job and the members love it, that speaker is applauded. However, if they bring in a dud with a sales pitch, that reflects very poorly on them. And if that's happened to them in the past, they are very gun shy. And you can ask them, do you have any experience bringing in financial advisors? How did things go in the past? And if they told you about some nightmare scenario, then you definitely want to partner with somebody so that you're not selling yourself, right? So maybe you have a relationship with a physician or somebody else. Like when I'm in the situation when my financial advisors want to partner with me to get a webinar into a medical association, the deal is that they try to get me on the platform to talk about, the myth of the rich doctor or the 9 money mistakes that doctors make. And then in the delivery, what I will do is I will lay out reasons that doctors are best served by working with professional financial advisors who work with doctors like them, and maybe the call to action. And by the way, that financial advisor will be the profile of you, right? And then at the end of the webinar, the call to action, the yummy treat, will be to go to your website to get maybe a digital version of the myth of the rich doctor. So you have a way of capturing their name and email address. And then, I could even send out the first email for you. So be smart and be strategic about it. Medical meetings, we're running out of time, so let me just go really, really quickly. Great opportunities for you. And here are some of them. You can take out a vendor booth, some of it at a very, very reasonable price. You want to have some attention getting banner You want to push a pain point and invite people in. An advisor actually was able to hire me to come in to do a book signing, and the book signing went on the printed agenda. So this was an extra reason for doctors to visit the vendor booth. So there's a lot of creative ways of doing that. And again, you want to build relationships with these power partners by networking with the other vendors. I mentioned this possibility of a breakfast event. Now, doctors are early risers, most of them are. And so believe it or not, if you have a 6 a.m. breakfast meeting with a topic that you know has already worked in the past for you, and you get a list of doctors who are, at this association meeting, you can invite them and they have the greatest chance of being there if you're out of town. So, it can be well worth it to make the investment to fly someplace else, get the hotel room, because you really will get doctors there. And then, of course, I told you that getting on the platform, delivering a talk, being on the agenda is a real possibility, because now I can say I've helped an advisor do it. The biggest mistakes I see advisors making is selling. You do not want to sell. You want to talk about doctors' problems and possible solutions. You want to get names, and you always want to have a next step. So you are not on the platform. You are not getting in front of the doctors to talk about your process and talk about how unique you are. You are there to help doctors understand what problem that they have, and then maybe tell stories about how you have helped. So again, I'm going to give you the link to other webinars that will help you successfully build relationships with doctors through expert positioning and how to build digital sales funnels. But the way to make it happen is to take action. So I hope that you found value in this presentation. I hope that you've seen actual ways that you could start today to do some research about what medical associations you might want to approach and what the next steps to take are. If you have any questions, please feel welcome to reach out to me. If you go to the Targeting Doctors website, there's a button that you can set up a 15-minute complimentary consultation. I'd be happy to do some laser coaching with you. Please take advantage of all of the free resources on the website. If you sort of want a more directed effort, you will also see some services that I do offer for a fee. I offer this Cracking the Physician Code course, which is this framework that leads to doctor-client acquisition. I offer coaching. I offer all sorts of content that you can co-brand. What I know from my decade of experience in working with financial advisors is that some of you are going to want something more. You're elite. You want accelerated paths for success that will really give you the unfair advantage. And so I wanted to describe a package that I have put together that will support this expert positioning and digital sales funnel and physician evangelism. If you are not interested in learning more, please feel welcome to get back to what you're doing. And I thank you for your participation in this tutorial. But those who are interested in sort of the fast track of exclusive programs for explosive results, this is sort of what I put together for you. So I challenged myself, how can I help somebody get to that sweet spot most quickly and most directly, given all the resources that I have developed? So this is what I have come up with. It is a collection of insights, of resources and strategies and tactics to get you in front of doctors and specifically to open the doors to medical associations quickly. Okay, so what do you get? Well, you get your name on the cover of books proven to engage doctors. So the myth of the rich doctor, for the past year and a half, I've been all over the United States speaking to groups of physicians about this. I can't explain why, but doctors love this book. Now, I want you to approach doctors in integrity, right? So I know that there are people out there, you can just sort of buy the privilege of putting your name on a book that you haven't written. I don't think that that is a good idea for you because it lacks integrity. Somehow or other, the doctor could find out that there is another financial advisor with their name on the identical book. Instead, the way I think to do it is with integrity is to have you write a foreword. And I help people write the foreword. And this is basically your signature story, your story about why you're in financial services and why you're working with doctors. So this is not like the boring CV that describes your methodology. Instead, this is you telling your story that has an emotional ring. Like maybe you grew up in a family that didn't manage money real well, and you decided early on, that's never going to be me again, sort of a rags to riches story. Maybe you're just the kind of person who's always just known how money works. Maybe you sent yourself to college through, your lawn business that you started when you were in middle school and continued in high school. Okay, so that's your signature story. And the idea is to create an emotional bond with doctors. Next, there's an afterword. There's a call to action, and I've got an afterword that works well. In addition, you get your name and your bio on the back cover. But the thing is, your name is on the cover of a book. And this is the ultimate expert positioning, in my opinion. So these two books are available. I will make them available to you. Next, I will set up a digital sales funnel. So I will set up a landing page. So let's say I give a webinar for Medical Association. At the end, I'll say, Doctor, now if you want to get a copy of this book, go to www.blah. And then when they get to that page, they will see this and they'll press the button, send me the book, and their email address is captured and they automatically digitally get sent a copy of the book. So you've got an element of a digital sales funnel. You get 6 months of coaching. You get a roadmap. We talk about where do you want to focus? What are the best fits for you? And then we create a way of getting there. We will create an on-demand webinar. So if you want to approach the medical associations, maybe they don't want to do something live. Maybe they just want to promote this digital webinar. Now you've got something in the can for that. You are going to have a license for distribution of my cartoon Navigating to Wealth. And here's a great way to use it. I've had people put this on the back of their business cards or, even reproduce this on their letterhead. You give a copy to this to a doctor and a red pen and say, now, doctor, it's hard to build wealth. There's a lot of things that get in your way. With that red pen, why don't you circle the 3 things that you think are the biggest challenges? And those 3 things are the places that you start your conversation. So this is a really great way of starting out with the client-centered conversation. It puts their agenda first, and now you can see how you fit into their agenda. In addition, if you send out any marketing materials, if you send something in the mail, you can use my return address, and I will, in fact, write a letter of introduction. And here's why this is so important. If you send something to a doctor's office, there's a gatekeeper who is most likely just going to throw away any communication that you send to the doctor. No gatekeeper is going to throw away something from a doctor. They're not going to delete an email from a doctor, and they're not going to throw a letter from a doctor away. So this is really powerful. This helps you get your message more reliably in front of doctors. And then there's a whole blueprint for how this works. Okay, so in essence, I become the physician who's opening the red velvet rope for you. So you can use my national reputation as your halo to open more doors, whether it's to medical associations or whether it's to a key physician opinion leader. There is some exclusivity, so I will only work with one financial advisor in a given geographic location. And if you think about it, it's for obvious reasons. I don't want 3 financial advisors approaching the executive director of the medical association and say, "Hi, I've partnered with Dr. Vicki Rackner." To be special, only one person can do that. So if you're even remotely thinking about this program, I want to apologize in advance if your territory is already taken. So this is a great package if you're a veteran in the medical market and you just really want to kick it up to the next level. It's also good if you just want to jump into the medical market and avoid the steep learning curve. It's great if you want to build out digital sales funnels. It's great if you just want to take the most direct path to success without avoiding the costly mistakes. And it's especially helpful if you get that vision of the escape velocity. If you get that what you really want to do is the things that you need to do to be the go-to expert among targeted group of physicians, this is for you. This is not for you if you're uncertain about whether you really want to work with doctors. You need to have already resolved to do that. If you're looking for sort of a do-nothing campaign where doctor leads are just delivered to your inbox, that's not what this is about. Doctors have worked hard to get where they are. This is hard work. I'll show you how to do it, and I'll be there with you. If somebody tries to sell you on it, please be skeptical about it. And this probably isn't for you if you're just like a hobbyist in the medical market. Like, okay, maybe you want to just talk to a doctor or two. This program is for people who are looking at generate 7-figure incomes and really buttoning down and getting more doctor clients. Okay, so what is the investment? All right, well, I started asking myself these questions. Okay, what's the value of a single physician client? I don't know what your business model is, but you have a sense of that. But one thing to keep in mind is, unlike high net worth clients who are a little easier to engage than doctors, but more difficult to retain, just know that if you got a physician client, you're probably going to have them for life. So you shouldn't think about the revenue you generate this year or next year. You want to think about the revenue over a lifetime and what that will do to the price that you get if you sell your book of business. Okay, what's the value of being perceived as a physician's partner by getting somebody to open up the red velvet rope? What's the value of getting the attention of a medical director, or the value of offering tested, yummy treats? I'll tell you that I've created things that I thought the doctors would want that they just don't. So especially if you go big, you want to make sure you're going big with some tested value. And the yummy treats that I have created are all tested. What's the value of gaining access to these platforms, to the associations? What's the value of getting your phone calls returned or not stumbling at the starting gate or the finishing line? If you decided today that you were going to write a book, well, it would take you some time to do that. Book writing is not easy. You could hire somebody to ghostwrite a book for you or go and put your name on somebody else's book. And that investment would be, usually in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. Well, if you go on my website, you'll see that you can put your name and write a forward and afterward to either of my best books for half that investment. Part of this package is creating drip content, and you're going to get scripts for videos, 25 scripts. Okay, well, if you went out and hired somebody to create videos, that price tag is like in the $30,000 to $60,000 areas. I've actually got a package where I'll produce 12 videos for you for $5,000. What's the investment to do a webinar? Well, if you can find a physician to do a webinar with you, that would be one thing. Chances are good that you're not going to find that person. I sell a webinar package for $1,500. So if you add up the things that are in this package and you purchase them a la carte, it would be about $20,000 worth of value. I really want to help you get more doctor clients. I mean, I am here. My core mission is to help doctors. The reason that I'm working with financial advisors is that I know that unless and until doctors have a solid financial foundation, they don't have options open to them. So I'm in this with you. We both want to help more doctors. So I have sort of slashed the price to, quite honestly, inspire more people to say yes, because doctors are looking for financial advisors that they can trust. Only half of doctors are working with professional financial advisors. Whenever I make an offer like this, I always get asked, can this be broken down into payments? And the answer is yes, it can be broken down into 3 payments. And we can get this done now. All of my services are covered with an unconditional guarantee. If you get started with any product or service and do not find the value that you were hoping to get, or find that this is just not for you, you get your money back, no questions asked. So you're protected by a money back guarantee whenever you engage me, and you have 0 risk. Because you have been here for over an hour now listening to this idea, I want to make this special for you. So if you do, in fact, sign up today, which is August 27th, I would like to offer you some special bonuses. The first bonus is access to the to-be-launched Academy of Physician Engagement Masterclass. This is my signature course, the Cracking the Physician Code course on steroids. It goes a lot more into advanced strategies about expert positioning, about networking, and about other more internal things like managing time, managing rejection, managing self-talk, sort of the whole package to really help you get success. As a second bonus, we will also create some bookmarks for you. Everyone hangs on to bookmarks, so this turns out to be a really, really great way of keeping yourself in front of doctors. And then as a third bonus, you will also be able to distribute the book that I'm working on right now, which is How Doctors Can Get More Patients. So as I stated before, I'm only going to be working with one advisor in each territory to help them get the competitive advantage. So if you're interested, again, first step is to drop me an email and see if your territory is even available. So you can reach out to me at expert@targetingdoctors.com, and we'll get back to you right away. In addition, if there's anything in this presentation that you have questions about, or if you take a look at the website and have questions, at the bottom of each page is a button that says click here to schedule a phone call. Please feel welcome to call. Sometimes I can solve big problems in just a very fast amount of time. So I might be able to give you that idea that's really going to help you do this on your own if that's the way that you choose. Thank you again for sharing your most precious resource, your time here. I really hope that you found value. I really hope you've found some ideas that will help you acquire more doctors, or even take with you into other markets like business owners that you might be working with. Let me know how I can help. Really, my mission here is to help you be more successful. So bye-bye for now.